What's up, guys? Take a look out your window, and you'll see a world run by lies. But of course, the Almighty wins. How's everybody doing? All right, guys, I got a real treat for you today. I found a little documentary about our subconscious and conscious mind, and some of the tests that they've done to figure out how to fool our minds, right? Because they literally they tell you, like, there's some really cool stuff in this thing, and I want you to pay attention to how this information can be applied and used against you by the mainstream media, by the banks, the people who screw you over with this debt system, making you think that debt is wealth. It's all tied in to how they manipulate our conscious and subconscious minds. It's freaking incredible. It's really something, you guys. All right, so I'm gonna start this. I'm gonna start this video, and it's gonna go. It's about 20 minutes long. And about halfway through, I'm gonna intersect, and I'm gonna talk about some things, and I want to apply these things that we learned today to how they're being used right now to fuck you over, man. Like, to screw us over big time, right? They take all this data and information that we give them, and I want you to apply the information to, trendy apps that people use today. Just think about it. It's crazy. Okay, it is insane. So I'm gonna start this video without any further ado. It's very cool. Please stick with this video. This is gonna be such a cool video. Probably one of the best that I've ever made, ever. Because we're gonna talk about some real shit, and it's gonna be obvious to you. You ain't gonna be fooled no more, right? That's how we do around here. We're trying to open some eyes, right? We're trying to shed some light on the truth, right? And glory be to the Most High, the Almighty Creator of all. Okay, the Almighty Creator just is awesome, right? It's really cool because you understand what kind of things go into the creation of our brain, of our bodies, right? You kind of understand that. I mean, evolution obviously falls apart, because take a look at the evolution, right? Evolution, and I'm not getting off on a tangent. I do that so much. But just think about this: like, you were created. You were created, right? And I'm wrestling with some definitions in the Bible, right? I'm trying to understand how Genesis 1, Elohim created man in their image. And image means phantom, idol. And the creator I know and the creator I read about don't like idols. So it wasn't God created man in his image, right? In Genesis 1. It's Elohim created man. I think man is even is like Hebrew word 121, which is heathen, right? And idolater. Okay? Which you'll find in stark contrast to in Genesis 2, where the Almighty Creator formed Adam, formed man, okay, and pulled from his rib to create Hava, Eve, right? He formed them in Genesis 2 now, which is important, He formed man, and that's I believe Hebrew word 120 in Strong's Concordance, which is first man, Adam, first man, right? So what I'm saying here is in Genesis 1, Elohim created an idol in their image, right? In their image, it's embodiment, right? I'm sorry, an idol, right? And the God I come to understand don't dig idols, right? You're not supposed to have any idols, have no God before the Almighty, right? So, what I'm trying to understand is what the differences are between these two beings. Have they procreated, right? And if they have procreated, that means that we are born with two different with an evil fucktard spirit and the breath of life spirit that God breathed into our nostrils, right? So those two beings procreated, right? They got together and made babies. So that means what I feel it means is that we have some reconciling to do. Right? Within ourselves. And I believe that reconciling is done when you understand who the love and the life and the truth is. And the truth is Jesus Christ. All right. Without further ado, you guys, this is going to be great. This is going to be cool. Stick with me. And please leave comments. Tell me if, you like this video. Send me some ideas if I don't know. I'm very interested in this, okay? So this is like cool stuff to me. So it'll be a little better than my other videos because, although I am interested in what I say in my other videos and what I've shown, this just kind of like piques my interest, especially. So check it out, you guys. It's about 20 minutes long, and I'll talk in the middle of it, and we'll go over some stuff. I didn't mean to wink the eye. yeah, I didn't mean to wink the eye. I was just saying, keep watching. I honestly, I swear I didn't mean to. Please don't write me up for that. Because the enemy winks their eyes and sticks their tongue out and mocks. And I don't mock. I'm not mocking anybody. I was just saying, stick with me.
American psychologists calculated that today the human brain can simultaneously absorb 11 million units of information. However, we're only consciously aware of a maximum of 40. That's why New York is exhausting when we first visit it. But the more often we venture into places like Times Square, the more at ease we feel with it. That's because we shift to autopilot, and our brain fades out what is considered irrelevant or familiar.
Half of your brain is dedicated to processing visual information. So that means that a quarter of your brain at least is just for that 0.1%. If you amplified that up and we saw everything in the world so that we didn't have a fovea, just our entire visual field was one big high-resolution fovea, our brain would have to be at least 500 times bigger in order to process all that information. And still we'd have attention picking out pieces of it for us.
To prove this, psychologist Daniel Simons thought up this test. Count how many times the white team passes the ball. And go. Even if you did happen to notice something, half of all test persons overlooked the gorilla. They were blind to the black gorilla because they were too busy counting the white team's passes. Our brain decides which information is new and important enough without us even knowing. So when on the escalator of life, we're lucky if our unconscious mind lets us know we're passing the love of our life.
What the unconscious specializes in is the present. Consciousness can time travel. We can remember the past. We can get lost in the past. We can plan for the future. But what system is minding the store while we're off in the future and thinking about the past? When we're walking down the street, we have to be aware of what's going on in our environment. We have to be adapting to it. So what the unconscious is a present-based system. And because it's operating at the same time the conscious thought is, it frees the conscious mind to time travel. If the conscious mind was the only one that existed, as soon as we time travel, we're going to walk off a cliff. We're going to get hit by a car. We're going to have all these other things happen to us because we're not minding the present. And the present is a dangerous thing.
Hast du die nicht? Du hast sie doch. Pass auf, ich schicke sie dir per SMS, ja? Bis gleich. Tschüss.
It is our autopilot that decides what is important and what gets ignored. That's why we don't notice that our brain blanks out the grip of our sunglasses, as long as they don't move on our heads. We get so used to them, we even have to check to make sure they're still there.
I like to think of our mind kind of working like a watchtower. If you want to get by the tower, you have to get by the guard. But the guard, if he's not paying attention to the surveillance systems and the inputs that he has, then he can be suppressed. And I think that's what happened when I'm working. I'm trying to get people not to pay attention to what their eyes are telling them or what their ears are telling them.
Now you have nothing in your hand besides just the watch you're wearing. Now, do you think it's possible for me to steal that watch without you knowing? That's good, because if I told you, that'd be rather foolish for me to do before I tried to do it. Make my job a lot harder. Now, what time do you have right now?
Got 11:03.
Okay, so instead of taking your watch, I'm going to give you something of mine. I'm going to try to steal it away from you. This is mine. It's worth about $50. It's a silver coin. Squeeze it in your hand. Does it feel like it's in your hand?
Yeah.
Would you be surprised if I could take it out?
Yeah.
Good, open your hand. That's the easy way. Don't make it easy for me. Make it hard for me. Hold your hand up a little bit higher, just a little bit flat like that. Watch it kind of close. So you see it goes straight away. It's back on his shoulder again. Do you see it on your shoulder? Hey, whoop. Keep on doing this till you catch it. You're almost there. You try it again. One last time. Squeeze it very tight inside your hand. Squeeze firm. Don't pull my finger. That's a different trick. I've seen that one before. It's back on your shoulder, bro. The other shoulder. It's not there, is it, man? Is it? Show him it's not here. Open your hand all the way. Step back a little bit so he can see. See, you have to watch close. Put your other hand on top for me, would you? Put it flat on top. You see the coin right there? I'm going to put a shade in between. You have to watch close. It's not there yet. It's more about the timing. This is going to happen in less than 3 minutes. It's going to go in between your hands. Do you feel it now? Watch it close. Here it goes. 1, 2. Did you feel it? Open your hand. Well, I guess we ended up with a watch instead, didn't we? And that was less than 3 minutes. I think I told you about this, didn't I?
This guy.
You can take the watch along with a big round of applause from all your new fans. You're awesome, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See, it's back on your shoulder, Brenda? Not yet. It's the other shoulder, that's why. Does it feel like it's inside your hand? Sure, it's definitely not there. You have to watch close. This trick's more about the timing. Everybody can see pretty well. Now I'm just going to loosen you up a little bit. You okay there?
Good looking.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. Does that feel about right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So now put this in between your hands. Squeeze kind of tight.
Okay.
And just a little bit like this. Is the top button done on your shirt there, man?
No.
And this is your watch, isn't it, man? Is that your watch?
Oh!
That looks just like your watch, doesn't it? That's so strange. Is this your watch?
Yeah.
What's your name?
Ben.
Ben, I appreciate the donation. You've been wonderful, man. In fact, we had picked up something special. We got your tie.
Oh, shit.
I believe that's your tie, isn't it, man?
Right.
Sorry about that. Let's put that over your neck.
All right.
And in fact, we all got together to pay you for your time. I believe this is your cash. Was that your Because I think these are all the ones that were inside the pack.
Oh, this motherfucker.
I've seen it all happen.
Just put it all here in a safe spot. That's for you, bro. It's the best watch we can find on short notice. That looks a lot like yours. That's a heavy-ass watch. I have no idea.
When we stare at a bright light and then we turn our gaze away and we can still see this very powerful after image wherever we move our eyes. In the sense of touch, it's something similar. After Apollo actually removes the watch because he has pressed the watch into that person's skin previously, they can feel that they're still wearing the watch, even though the watch is long gone.
How's it going? How are you guys liking it so far? How you guys liking it so far? Have you learned anything? Have you been able to apply some of the things that they've been saying to, maybe how you're being manipulated with misdirection, by the media? Maybe they blow some things up that aren't very important while other things take place that are very important, that actually make a difference, in your life, the sleight of hand done by people, right? Have you, and the most interesting part is coming up, right? The most interesting part is coming up. So, did you see how that guy literally told them, let them know that they're going to steal his watch, ask them if they believe they could do it, when they're like, no, you can't do that, right? He says, well, I've got a $50 coin here, right? A $50 coin. It's worth about $50 in silver, that I'm gonna give you this and I'm gonna take that from you. Not even think now the misdirection, the actual watch taking hasn't taken place yet. But it has been planted in their minds that they're no longer thinking about a watch, which was the initial challenge, right? Like, the coin tricks are cool. Oh, they're on your shoulder. Oh, they're right here. But did you see how he pressed those points on their wrists, as he was, pressing on their shoulder, putting the coin on their shoulder. So they're thinking, he's reaching over here. He reached under their arm. He's touching the guy's tie, right? How is that misdirection so easily done? I mean, that guy is a pro, for one thing, right? And he must have practiced a lot, right? He must understand very well how to fool our brains, right? He must understand that very well. Now, do you think the people in charge understand that as well? See, this documentary is cool for us to understand and stuff like that because we can understand how they're manipulating us, but it's also how they're manipulating us. Like this information has directly, I bet you this documentary had, and as well as like all the studies they run at all these devil colleges, right? All these wastes of money, literally building the beast system for them, with our, sweat equity. What was I saying? Shit. Oh, you see how easy it was for him to misdirect. So they understand. So this film probably influenced the AI, right? I'm not sure if he said it yet, but did you hear him say that they are trying? No, he's about to say this. Okay, so they are using this information to program into computers, into acting more like our brains, understanding how our brains work, and therefore how to trick them and bypass them, and and pull wool over our eyes as gorillas walk by, rampaging gorillas. Dude, we're sitting there counting the ball, the passes or whatever. Oh, I got it, 19, yeah. But did you see the giant gorilla or the dude in the gorilla suit the nonsense suit walk by? You didn't see the guy in the nonsense suit walk by. Interesting, right? So interesting. It's crazy. It's insane, right? How well equipped we are, yet everything with its flaws, the flesh especially. The flesh especially, And that's why I feel like spirit is superior to flesh, and the things that I strive for, and I think the things that we all should strive for are within the spirit. Now, with that said, we're about to go into the most interesting part, and the most important part, and the most applicable part that you can apply directly to what's happening nowadays, right? Directly. Okay? With these, right? And I'll give you a hint, right? So they're about to talk about how many, I think it was 3,000 different meaningful expressions we can make on our face. Now that means that we have micro twitching going on in our faces. There's, I think he said, like 30 sets. There's 30, some sets, I don't know. Don't get hung up on the numbers. I don't know. But of groups of muscles responsible for making all those, expressions. And there's obviously the core expressions. I think it's disgust, surprise, anger, sadness, like anguish. I think that might be sadness too. Happiness, and I don't know. I took communication when I went to college, and we went over all that shit. But anyway, yeah. So these are very important when creating connections with people who have something to connect with. People who make those connections or have the ability to make those connections, I think should, right? And it's taking our ability away to make these connections. It's a lot harder, isn't it? You don't know. I mean, you can tell by the eyes, but what if I'm just tired? I look like I'm mad. Now you can see that I'm tired, right? Now you can see that I'm mad, right? But it looked the same, like, you know what I'm saying. You get it. So, it's very important when making connections and empathetic connections. Now, that's important because I believe our God and our Creator is empathetic, and He put that in our hearts, right? To be empathetic and caring and stuff like that, right? So if these connections are being wiped out, right? A majority of these connections are being wiped out because we don't have the information anymore to make these connections, because it's based off of a lot of nonverbal communication. In fact, I think he said 70% of all communication is nonverbal. Interesting, right? Interesting. And they're about to tell you how when you're digging on somebody, right? Or maybe they already said this, but when you're digging on somebody, you start making the same, gestures as them. If you notice when they're at dinner or whatever, they're both touching their chin, right? They're both leaning in, right? They're both, nodding their heads, right? Like they both start imitating each other because there's a connection, right? Now, if you're around a bunch of people, maybe real people, and then maybe like demon people, right? That you can't have connections with because they don't feel the same way. You know, people who have made those, you know, who have tried to. I think an attempt must be made for the spiritual in order to exercise it. You know, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? And if you lose it, well, you're no longer what the Creator intended for us to be. Because don't you think the Creator is a loving, caring Creator? You know, don't you think He's got a plan? I feel it. I feel like the God I serve has a plan, right? He's got it's all worked out, right? Yet we have our free will. You know, He gives us a choice out of love and empathy and caring. He gives us the choice because it's meaningful then. Meaning is important, right? It's meaningful to make those connections and make the choice to love God and want to serve our spirits because we know our body passes away. I know I'm not going to live forever. Even if even if I was some creepo dude who wants to put his consciousness in a computer, I know I'm not living forever. You know what I mean? The spark of life is awesome, right? It's a awesome thing, but it's birthed into this world, right? And I'm not obsessed with this world. I don't love this world. You know, I love my spirit. I love spiritual growth more than I love this world, right? And I think an honest effort has to go towards uncovering, you know, these things that eventually I think any person would see as important, right? Any God-fearing, loving, caring person would feel like those are important connections to make. And if you can't make them anymore, then we're losing another part of ourselves, and it's just more of a disconnect. More of a disconnect. And I don't want to be disconnected from myself and my loved ones. And I don't want to, I love making connections with people. You know, I do. It's fun. You know, it's interesting. And I may even fall in love because I love to love. You know, I love loving. You know, there's a time for, you know, you getting it. There's a time for that, though. You know, don't misconstrue, you know. There's a time. There's a time to sow. There's a time to reap. There's a time to fight. There's a time to love. There's a time to cry. There's a time to laugh, right? Everything within its time. A place for everything and everything in its place, and a time for everything and everything in due time. All right. So, I'm probably gonna make another little ditto, a little ditty at the end too, because this is the most important. This applies to what's going on, and now you're gonna see. Think of TikTok, right? Think of these Facebook videos, right? Where what did they do? Like there's like something here. There's somebody throwing a ball or whatever, and then all of a sudden the person throws the ball at the camera, right? And you flinch. You know no ball's going to come out of the freaking, phone and hit you in the head, but we still flinch. That is a play on our subconscious making connections and taking shortcuts and not always relaying correct information, and another way they're going to fucking trick us. And another way they're going to manipulate us, right? You flinch, right? You know a ball's not going to come out of there. You know that, I saw there was like a mongoose or something like this, right? And he's like this, and all of a sudden he goes, ah! And I was like, ah! So, it's very important to understand this stuff.
We can dreamwalk effortlessly through our world only because every experience leaves an imprint in our unconscious memory. This vast archive also guides us when we meet somebody for the first time. because we have unconsciously generalized our earlier experiences with people.
Less than 100 millisecond exposure to a face, novel face you've never seen before, is sufficient for people to make all kinds of decisions, like whether the person is trustworthy, whether the person is competent. It's not the case that these inferences are necessarily accurate, but we nevertheless do them very rapidly.
Alex Todorov has shown countless photos of faces to test subjects. His studies prove we pass judgments on faces so rapidly our conscious mind doesn't even have time to get involved. We underrate baby faces as incompetent but trustworthy. And we classify closely set eyes and a square chin as aggressive. When our reasoning eventually kicks in, we only get more confident in our assumptions, even if we are apparently wrong.
Even if you don't intend to make judgments, even if you don't have the intention to evaluate the faces, nevertheless your brain is categorizing the faces, putting the face into specific categories. So in that sense, a lot of the processing is, one could describe as automatic.
I'm behind it looking out. I'm not seeing my face. So I'm not as able to manage it and to present it, to make it so that you have what I want you to believe about me. And this is the classic domain of nonverbal communication, and the face is hugely important. It's so powerful, but we're just starting with Todorov's work and some other people. We're just starting to realize how powerful it is, and it's very hard to shake.
For decades, scientists have tried to develop a software capable of what we do without effort, recognizing and interpreting faces. This specific module in the right temporal lobe is in charge of scanning faces. It takes only fractions of a second to match a face in front of you with your internal database of faces. Provided that the emotional records department in our insular cortex has marked the face with an emotion. Sometimes, we even recognize a face we've seen only once. Our facial expressions are composed of 43 active muscle units. If we look at all the possible combinations, it adds up to 3,000 meaningful facial expressions. Next to the facial recognition service, there's a facial expression department, capturing our counterparts' facial micro-movements and interpreting them. The reports, again, are sent to the evaluation unit in the insular cortex, the empathy center of our brain. Seeing a face, we think we can feel what our counterpart feels, because unconscious circuitry is forcing us to do so. But we can neither put it in words nor control it. Anything that doesn't have a face is processed by the object recognition unit, coloured blue here. Autistic people also use the object unit when looking at a human face. For them, a face is just like a chair. That's why they seem to be blind to other people's emotions. We, in contrast, sometimes read too much into a face.
We have done some studies trying to predict political elections from facial appearance, and generally you can predict about 70% of the elections based on a single glance at a face. And these are judgments of people who don't know that they're looking at politicians at all, so they're not familiar with the faces.
Our faces decide how others perceive us, whether we win or lose elections, get hired for a job, go on that first date, and our friends decide how we move. Studies of American college students revealed that female friends needed just a few milliseconds to unconsciously align their movements and gestures with one another.
When a person sees, without maybe even realizing it, you're doing the same thing they're doing, or having the same body posture, or same emotional reaction on your face to the same news, they think you're like them. They see similarity. They see you're reacting the same way they do. It actually increases empathy and bonding between people.
Unconscious circuitry is also guiding us when we're out shopping. It tells us what we should buy and what we're willing to pay for it. Researchers discovered that credit cards sidestep the alarm system inside our heads. It gets alerted when we actually give away something, but the plastic card is passed back to us by the cashier, and we only notice we're in the red at the end of the month. Until then, we're safe in the illusion of having saved money by spending it on a sale.
We experience illusions all the time. We never have, or almost never have, a perfect match between perception and reality. So in a way, everything, or most of everything that we perceive, is illusory.
Henrik Ehrson from the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm. The Swedish neurologist has proved that even our brilliant automatic brain can be fooled. His test setup is as simple as it is disturbing. The test person sees 3D images taken by a camera behind them. Ehrson touches his subject, and in sync with this, he makes the same movement into the camera. It may sound incredible, but the touch and the 3D image are apparently merged by our unconscious into one. And even if the test subject's conscious mind clearly recognizes the illusion, the sensation still cannot be denied.
It's only an illusion. The body should be special. It should be something you can trust, a raw feeling. Well, you can't trust the feeling of your body. That is also a construction by the brain, just like the brain constructs what we see.
With a slightly modified setup, the test is even taken to the next level. This time, Ehrson's colleague Valeria Petkova attaches the camera to a mannequin. The test setup seduces the female test person to look down at the male mannequin body, as if it were her own, though she's only looking at a camera image. The stronger a subject reacts to touch, the more perfect the body swap works, no matter how absurd.
How was that?
How did you feel?
How did it feel? Was it too disturbing?
Yeah, because it really completely feels it's my body and you wanted to cut me.
We can take a little
We
pause.
can take a break, yeah.
These illusions, you can't think them away. You see a mannequin, it doesn't look like a real human body. But still, when you touch it, and you see that touch at the same time with the touch you feel, the brain just fuses the two signals and decides that, yeah, this must be my body. You know, the body roughly looks like my body, it's roughly in the right place. And the touches I feel and see happens at the same time, so the brain just makes up this interpretation. Yes, this is my body.
Es gibt eine Rangfolge der Sinneswahrnehmungen.
There is a hierarchy of senses. The most powerful senses are the sense of touch and the sense of balance. All of our other senses are subordinate to these. If we wear glasses that turn everything upside down, then the world is reversed at first. But the sensory motor systems ensure that it all turns back around. Our sensory motoric dominates the visual, and the visual in turn dominates hearing.
Dominiert das Hören.
Don't believe it? Then take a moment to test the McGurk effect. In a second, you'll hear two different syllables, ba and fa. You can clearly differentiate between the two because you combine what you hear with the lip movements you see.
Ba, 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 ba.
Next, you'll see a split screen. If you look back and forth, you'll hear ba when you look on the left and something else when you look on the right. Yet the sound remains the same. Ba.
Ba, 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 ba.
Your brain doesn't even bother to let you know about the conflict. It automatically solves it. That's what magicians like Apollo Robbins take advantage of. You wouldn't even uncover Apollo's trick if you rewound the film. And the more you try, the less you notice.
The shell game doesn't work unless you have an emotional investment. So when you're just watching this and you take a shotgun guess, I think it's under number 2, yes, you may be right. But if you have a vested interest, where there's money on the table, you're going to prioritize where you choose, and that's where you can be taken advantage of.
It's no wonder our first rendezvous gives us butterflies and makes us anxious. In milliseconds, our brain scans things like ratio of hips to waist, the colour of the eyes, facial symmetry, and fragrance of the body, which in turn tells our subconscious whether our immune systems are a match. Researchers today know we're more likely to fall in love with people who are like us. We even tend to fall for partners with the same width of the nose, and for those who are roughly as smart as we are. 90% of our emotional communication is non-verbal, and the more a person imitates subconsciously our gestures and facial expressions, the more we like that person. It goes so far that we even tune into the same rhythm of breathing when we're speaking to a person that we like. In order for us to fall in love, our brain eagerly pours out hormones, clouding our judgment and making us downright addicted. Then, we only have one goal, being close to that person. Contrary to popular opinion, men fall in love more quickly and more definitively than women. But in each of us, our brains decide for us, long before we do. That's why there's an automatic error monitoring system in our heads that registers every mishap before it occurs. Because our brains constantly calculate what will be happening next. If the motion detectors of our cerebral cortex register minor deviations from the plan, our unconscious alarm systems start up. The motivation department chokes the release of dopamine, the messenger substance anticipating all good things in our lives. The drop of dopamine is registered by the nucleus accumbens, a tiny interface constantly calculating what will make us happy, or not. So before any mishap occurs, it alarms the ACC, a sort of fire alarm for our cerebral cortex. This, in turn, triggers a voltage drop within the conscious brain that jolts us awake 0.3 of a second after the first alarm. Errors feel bad for our brain. That's why we learn from them. In the next episode, you'll find out if things get really serious with our new love-struck couple, or if Martha and Jake's happiness is fragile.
Firstly, you look at someone, a potential partner, and you're integrating all kinds of things, the way she speaks, the way she looks, the way every little motion is immediately integrated in some giant calculation saying, acceptable, like her. And, I find that interesting. You meet someone on the train and they're your partner and 1 week later.
So what do I mean by the secret spells of the English language? Well, let me
All right. I hope you guys enjoyed the film here. It's interesting stuff, right? I know you guys probably don't want to hear me yap anymore. But did you see how many connections, that we're losing? And those aren't just connections with other people, right? Those are connections with other people's, like, I feel like something, it's physical, right? You're making connections physically, right? And you're making those connections through physical stuff. But you're really making the connection of empathy and trust. You're not going to be able to trust nobody. You know what I mean? These are very important real man attributes to have, real person attributes to have, So that's what they're trying to rob us of. They're trying to rob us of our connections to each other. It's fucked, man. It's burnt, dude. It's boned. It's somebody's screwing the pooch somewhere, Yeah. So, you see how easy it is to make us not see the guy with the nonsense suit, not see the nonsense that they, a little sleight of hand, really. A little sleight of hand and drawing our attention to the right, nonsense spot. We are actively invested, or I feel like, did you hear how he said that once we have something invested in it, that's when we become particularly vulnerable? When we're invested, because that's when we're paying attention, right? With our conscious mind, right? We're paying attention as good as we can, right? And that can be our conscious mind, can be our consciousness, can be you can attract somebody's awareness to something, and because they're so focused on being aware to that, wherever it's been, pulled, your awareness has been pulled, you're no longer paying attention to that over there. Right? Because they bypass the guard in the mind, the id. The id. I don't know, man, I feel like Freud was a demon. Like, why would you want to study psychology except to exploit it? Really? I mean, honestly. Like, I guess it might help some people who need their psychology understood, but really, wouldn't it just make for, like, just a way to manipulate people? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that whole science? I don't know. I have mixed feelings. Because, because of Freud and his sidekick, whoever that dude was. Not Mengele. Was it Mengele? No, Mengele was the dude who tortured people for the Nazis. And who was brought over here by, like, Project Paperclip or whatever, or Von Braun was. Hey, whatever. No tangents. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun, making this. So yeah, I hope I opened some people's awareness up a little bit. I don't know. Let me know, man. I'd like to know the difference I'm making because, like, I don't check YouTube analytics or whatever. I'd like you to say something, just so I can make that connection. Anyway, peace out, you guys. Peace. A most gracious thank you for watching. Once again, all the glory to the Almighty Creator who has gave me eyes to see and ears to hear. And it's the best feeling knowing that I'm not under a I'm not being spiritually deluded, a lot of things can spiritually delude you, but when the Almighty Creator does it to you, probably gonna have a hard time getting around it. If it's just your own pig-headed spiritual blocks doing it, you could probably work around that. But when you're purposely being spiritually deluded by the Creator because you've been such a doubting dude or girl and such a negative Nancy and haven't given credit where credit's due, when the Creator shuts you down, it's gonna be difficult. But I know, because He said, "Seek and you shall find," that I'm just where I'm supposed to be. So are you. If you're watching this, most likely, unless you're a troll. In that case, go ahead, ask me the questions 3. I'll use my spiritual awareness to answer them correctly. Anyway, later, guys, later. Thanks for watching.